welcome to this afternoon's Tuesday Times Roundtable. I'm glad to introduce today's moderator, one of our very few undergraduate student moderators of a Tuesday Times Roundtable. So I'm glad to have Aileen Sands. She's an Bolivian American seeking change in the world through advocacy and humanitarianism. She's currently a member of the Honors College, majoring in international relations and political science with a certificate in national security. She's an ambassador for the United States under the International Youth Committee, which is one of the largest international youth organizations recognized by the UN General Assembly, working towards the promotion of World Program for Action for Youth of the United Nations. She's also an ambassador for the Little Lighthouse Foundation, a nonprofit sustaining and improving 24 programs for at-risk youth in South Florida. She forms part of the Nothing But Nets Champion Council and is a Shot at Life champion under the United Nations. She's also a member of Gen UN under the United Nations Association of the US. Overall, Eileen's main focus is on the full implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, which I'm sure we'll be hearing about today, and a focus on quality education and no poverty. Thanks for being here, Eileen.
Hey everyone. Oops, sorry. Let me fix this. Okay. How are you guys doing today? Awesome. How's the food? Good. So as I said, my name is Aileen Sainz. I'm currently a sophomore here at FIU. And obviously, I think you guys heard, I do a lot of advocacy. Do you guys know what advocacy actually is? No one? Does anyone want to guess what advocacy is? Do you want to no? Take a hint. Yeah, in a way, it could be called advertising for a cause. So, advocacy, based on what you really think about it or how you take it, could be many different things. Like the dictionary says, it's public support for recommendation for a particular cause or policy. I like to say it's a lifestyle. I think my lifestyle is a form of advocacy because when you think about advocacy, it's representing or working for something bigger than you, working for the betterment or the empowerment of a certain cause. So when I say I advocate for you, it's because I'm speaking on behalf of you guys because you guys tell me what you want. You want to have napping pods. I would so be for that. And I would want those too. But, it's really different. And I think you guys know about, obviously, Parkland and March for Our Lives. When you look at those people are living a lifestyle in which they advocate for that. So they made that march. My best friend, she is currently at UCF, and she was one of the leaders for March for Our Lives. But she changed her lifestyle, even though she's not even majoring in international relations or politics. She's studying biology. She changed her lifestyle in order to lead that march. She changed her lifestyle in order to raise that cause, to speak on behalf of these other people. So when you advocate, you raise your voice, but you also raise your self-confidence because you can't stand for something else if you don't believe in it and if you don't believe in yourself. As you can see, there's a there, March for Life, He for She, UNA USA. So do you guys know, since you didn't know what advocacy was, I'm going to guess you guys don't know how to get started? Nope. Okay. Does anyone already seem kind of interested into advocacy, though? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So I put advocacy in a few little steps over here, but I'm not going to lie, it's not as easy as it looks. So the first step is obviously to find your passion, because if you're going to advocate for something, you have to believe in it and you have to be passionate about it. Because like I said, it's mostly a lifestyle, because you can't say I support this and then in 2 months you're going to drop it. You can't say I'm for this and I want to change this and then suddenly you just kind of die down. Advocacy is for things that are bigger than you, and most of the times they're for things that are much harder to change than you think. So when I say find your passion, find something that hits your home. Find something that you care about. Those Parkland kids are raising their voices because that's something close to their heart, because that's something that they really care about and they really want to change, because they believe they're going to change something. So find your passion. Let's say you like baking. Find some way to change baking into policy. find baking into a form where you can change things. I went to the Nothing But Nuts Leadership Summit, and I actually just got back, and there was a guy who goes to Marymount University, and over about, I believe, 8 years, he's raised $50,000 baking. So he would bake his treats and he would just put it on a table and ask people to come to him. If they wanted to donate, he'd allow them to donate. And if he wanted to give out facts about malaria, he would. So he's raising awareness, he's doing what he likes, and he's raising funds for a better cause. Because many of you don't know that a few years ago, malaria was killing kids every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds. That's a lot of kids that are being lost. And now, with our efforts through Nothing But Nuts, through the United Nations Foundation, we're proud to say that malaria only kills a child every 2 minutes. That is a major time difference. And even though kids are still dying because of malaria, that gives us hope to work to soon eliminate it and after eradicate it. Because even though it's eliminated here in the US, let's say someone comes from another country and comes into our borders, goes into an airport, someone else gets infected, automatically we have malaria back again. Until it's eradicated, it's going to continue coming back. But do you see how I just connected baking into a cause that's bigger, that's helping other people? You have to find something you're passionate about. And I'm not saying you have to be super, super passionate about because it hurt you in some form or because it impacted you in a way that is forever going to change your life, like Parkland. You go ahead, that's perfectly fine. But you can find something that you care about. I fight against malaria because I feel it shouldn't be dying. It shouldn't be dying through diseases that we can prevent because they deserve to have a childhood and they deserve to be outside playing in the water, playing in the mud, because that's what a childhood is. So the next step, I say find your voice. When I say find your voice, I mean work on yourself. I need you guys, when you're ready to advocate, to be ready at all times. Always carry your business cards, always look presentable. Now, when I say look presentable, most people think I say business clothes. I'm wearing business clothes today because I'm here, but you don't always have to be wearing business clothes. And business clothes does not always mean black. You guys can put color into your wardrobe. You guys can make your own style. There's no need to just be all like black suits and little things. You can wear your little lanyard because most of the times you have to have your name tag. Make it your own, because at the end of the day, even though you're representing a bigger cause, you're representing yourself. And at the end of the day, you're not going to change who you are just because of something else. I'm not saying like if you're walking around in, I don't know, leggings every day and you're invited to the United Nations, go in leggings, but adapt to kind of the formations, adapt to where you're going, kind of learn from your mistake, but always be presentable. So that means, honestly, I love walking around in my pajamas. But if I have to go somewhere and I have to present something, or that someone important's gonna be there, obviously, maybe you wanna wear like slacks and a t-shirt, something nice. But you always have to be presentable because you really, really never know who you're gonna meet. I was at a summit one day, and it was actually for the United Nations Association, and I'm just talking to a bunch of people, I'm just networking, but I never, again, find your voice. If you need a mic, get a mic. But, find something that you're confident about. Find something that you have a passion about and really work on your social skills, because at the end of the day, not only do you need it for your career, for college, for whatever, you guys need to learn to network, and you guys need to know to kind of get out of your boundaries, even though I know it's really awkward, you just don't want to casually go up to a random person, hey, my name is blank, 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 and I do this. But at the end of the day, that's what you need to do. And sometimes just by saying your name, you're going to meet the president of some club, or you're going to meet a different single person. Like I was at the UNA USA Leadership Summit, and I'm just talking to a bunch of people, I'm just networking. And next thing you know, I found people that I'm working with in different organizations. My best friend, who's also an ambassador to the US for the IYC, he has a project under UN Geneva, the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. And I would have never known that if I never would have gotten up and talked to him. My other friend, his name is Gabe,
He went to the World Youth Conference with me. He's a genuine fellow, but I would have never known that. We would have never traveled together as a group of friends advocating for something bigger than us if I would have never gotten up and spoken up. I would have never met congressmen. I would have never met heads of foundations if I never actually got up and started talking about what I believe in or talking about what I want to work for. So you guys have to raise your voice and find your voice first. It's a little difficult, but you guys don't have to go at it alone. You guys can look at TED Talks. You guys can even come to me. Like, I'm going to put my social media up. If you guys need help, I'm here to help you. You guys can find mentors. We're at FIU. You're at a college student. And honestly, that's your biggest excuse. Whenever you send an email or you're presenting yourself, my name is blank and I am in college. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to help college students. Because you're here to better yourself, to work for something in the future. So if you don't use I'm in college, then they have no form of actually helping you. If you don't raise your voice and ask for help, how is someone supposed to reach their hand out and grab you? You guys have to raise your voice. And once you guys raise your voice and find your passion for something to advocate about, and it doesn't even have to be a national cause, it could be a local cause, it could be your local club, it could be a club here at FIU, you guys can use your social platforms. You guys have Instagram, you guys have Twitter, you guys have Facebook, you guys have a ton of apps literally on your phone, which is something that they've never had before. You can tweet your congressman 50 times a day, and I assure you that his intern will probably see it, or he'll probably see it. He might even respond to you. He might retweet you. He might like it, but you're raising your voice. You're at least doing something to be heard and to be known. You guys don't have social media for nothing. I used to have my social media, and I would post like cute little pictures. And I still do, don't get me wrong. You can be business professional on your social media. People look at it, but it's also you as a person. So if you want to put a picture of yourself at the beach one day, perfectly fine. But the next day, let's say you went to a conference. Before, during, and after the conference, you should be posting about what you're doing. Because yes or yes, your friends are interested. You guys go on, I do it too. I go on Instagram and I'll be clicking and I'm like, oh, that's pretty, I want to go see it. Maybe I'll go to their location. Maybe I'll go to a person they tagged. It's the same thing with Twitter. You guys go through all these things and you never know that whatever you post could impact somebody else. Maybe that person over there was just casually searching and you popped up on their explore page on Instagram, and next thing you know, they're advocating for malaria and their brother died because of malaria. Now they're going to be intrigued to help you raise your platform. They're going to want to get advocating, and they're going to join you in this journey. And both of you are going to be fighting for a better cause. So you guys can use your social media platforms. You guys can also use your LinkedIn platforms, because people and employers want to see that you do something else besides just go to work or just go to college, because there's so much more to do in this world. And also get involved. Once you do that, once you get involved, obviously, see if they have any more programs. I got involved with UNA USA, and they got Genuine. They had leadership summits. They have scholarships. They send you internships. You guys have to get involved, and you guys have to apply. You will never better yourself, and you'll never get more opportunities if you don't apply. I keep telling people this, but I honestly believe it's the best thing that I've done. Apply to one thing a week. One thing that either you feel you want to do, you're kind of iffy about, or maybe, I don't know, something that you've just never done before. It could be volunteering, it could be an internship, it could be a job. But apply to one thing a week. Because at the end of the day, you guys are going to do a lot of applications. Trust me, I've done a lot of applications. You might as well practice it and get something out of it. I applied to so many internships, and I applied to all these positions, and look what I'm doing. I'm here talking to you, and honestly, I never thought I'd be in this position. But you have to better yourself, and you have to grow yourself, but you can't do that if you don't challenge yourself. And that goes back to networking. As you guys know, I was talking about Gabe. He's the one in the blue suit. I'm talking about Ormond. He was the one for Geneva. He's there in the black suit. And that is actually the U.S. ambassador to Brazil. Or not Brazil, I'm so sorry. U.S. ambassador to Belize. I'm doing a research project for Brazil, so that was on my mind. But that's the US ambassador to Belize. And believe it or not, we were just at an opening ceremony. We're all talking together, we're hanging out, and next thing you know, she talks to us. And we didn't know who she was. We didn't know what was happening. We introduced ourselves. It turns out the State Department sent an email about my arrival with my friends because we're there representing the US. And we would have never known if we never networked with her. And not only that, but she introduced us to the Prime Minister of Belize. The Prime Minister. These are not just people that you see on a day-to-day basis, you can just kind of say hi to at the gym. Like, these are opportunities that you have to network about yourself, to network about your cause, and to hear ideas from other people, how you can get involved, what you can do to implement to do better. So networking is honestly the best thing you guys can do. People are here to help you, but you guys need to ask for help. Social media. I was talking about social media networking. Those two women aside of me are actually the Real Housewives of the Potomac. I was volunteering for Promoting Awareness Victim Empowerment, PAVE, which basically is an organization working against sexual harassment, sexual assault, all of those things. The person who founded it was actually a survivor of a kidnapping, sexual assault, and sexual harassment. She's made it her cause, she's made it her foundation, and she's had people like Karen Huger, a Real Housewife, build up their confidence to speak out about things like that, to advocate using their platform. You'd be surprised at the amount of people that you look up to, that you see on social media all the time, that actually do have a platform for something else. Steph Curry, he's a nothing but nets champion. Alexandra Daddario from Baywatch, she was at our summit, I met her, and she's actually gone to Ghana and other countries to fight against malaria. So she's seen it firsthand. You see Goodwill ambassadors, you see, oh my God, I forgot her name. Do you guys remember her name? She's from Harry Potter. I literally just had her name. Yes, Emma Watson. You see her all the time. She's all about he for she. She's always doing something better, but she uses her platform. And those are just examples of how big you can go or how small you can go. But you guys have to network, and you guys have to use your platform. You guys have to raise your voice, and you guys have to do it because you actually believe in it. So at this time, I want everybody to get their phones out, and I want you guys to pull up a certain social media or LinkedIn, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. And once you guys have it all popped up, I need you guys to kind of just look at me so I know you're ready. Everyone? Okay. Switch your phones to the person next to you. Or if you have no one, to the person above you. And once you have your person's phone, I need you guys to put your social media in it. If you already have that person's social media, switch again. Just to repeat, if you guys just came in, we're networking. So I need everybody to take out their phones and bring up a social media app. And then give it to the person next to you. If you know them, person above you. Yes. Bring up LinkedIn, bring up Facebook. Any social media. It's just about networking. And if you guys, okay, not Tinder. If you guys want to add me on social media in case you guys have prior questions, you guys can add me too. Did everyone do it? Yes? No? Yes? You guys ready? Okay. So you guys just networked. It's super easy. You literally just, hey, I've had a really good time with you today. I want to get to know more about you. I want to get to know more about your project. I want to know about how you advocate. Can I have your social media? It's super simple, it's super normal, and you have one more person to impact. You have one more person that you can help advocate for. You have another person that you can listen to. And it's super, super simple. So now that you guys have another person to add to your network, one of the biggest things that you have to do when you're advocating is follow up. So the person that you just added, after you leave this, I hope you guys text them and be like, hey, I saw you at the thing. I'm super glad we got to network. Let's get coffee. Let's talk about something you care about. Let's find a foundation you want to work for together. Find something to volunteer for. Because at the end of the day, when you're lobbying on Congress or Capitol Hill, these people see a ton of people a day. They have people come and go. They have meetings every 30 minutes. They remember what you said. They took notes, but they're not always going to remember and be on top of it. They have a ton of other priorities and things to do as well. So you have to follow up with them. Whether you call, whether you email, you have to remember to remind them. Because it's the same thing. I don't know about you guys, but I try to write everything down and it doesn't happen. And let's say a professor is like, hey, you're going to have a quiz in 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. I have a quiz in 2 weeks. And then I go to the class and he's like, so we're having a quiz today. And I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah, quiz. But you guys don't remember. It's the same thing with them. You guys have to follow up and you guys have to remind them. So let's say I'm on Capitol Hill and I'm asking them, for example, to support a bill for World Malaria Day, which is actually a real thing. We actually have it. And I want them to support by putting their name to be a co-founder. They can do so, but are they going to remember? So that's where you take their email. That's where you take the business card or the social media that you have and you email them and be like, hey, it was super nice meeting you. I'm super excited to see what you're going to do or if you're going to support us. I just wanted to remind you that I would like you to be a co-founder, of course, if you support our foundation. Now, when you're following up, that also means to be courteous because no one is forced to support you or support your foundation. If they do, that's awesome. If they don't, that's fine. You don't have to force them to do anything, but you always have to be courteous. And you can follow up in any single way. Let's say you see them like a hall. Hey, do you have 5 minutes? I just want to quickly go over what happened or what I said or what I asked. Social media, you have your LinkedIn, you have your Facebook, you have your Instagram, Let's say you have a little poll on your Instagram and you put, are you interested in volunteering? All those people who said yes, you're allowed to see them. You can now message them and get them involved. You can get them an opportunity to volunteer with little kids, to volunteer with after-school programs, all these things. You guys can follow up in different ways. Perfect. So on all your tables, you guys see an article, and the articles are about the Sustainable Development Goals. Do you guys know what the Sustainable Development Goals are? No? No one?
I think that's that it's the goals that the UN put down for countries to try to follow for 2030.
Yeah, exactly. So
One of them was about global warming, to lower the temperature.
Exactly. So the Paris Agreement could be seen to kind of follow it, but the SDGs aren't fully all about climate change. So the SDGs are actually, as he said, goals inputted by the UN to basically be fulfilled by 2030. These goals are obviously for the betterment of people's lives, betterment of the community, betterment of the environment. And they actually came after the Millennium Development Goals, and the Millennium Development Goals actually had a system where they separated the countries that were developed and underdeveloped. With the Sustainable Development Goals, we don't look at what countries are developed or non-developed. We look at what they're doing to implement these goals so that way people can live obviously happier, healthier lives. So we have 17 of them. Obviously, you can see a variety. There's no poverty, there's no hunger, there's good health. But these are all goals that you can adopt to work for. I've adopted all 17 of them because, frankly, I couldn't really just choose one. I've worked with a ton of them throughout my foundations. And you'd be surprised at how a ton of the foundations, a ton of clubs that you even have here at FIU actually support all these goals without even trying. Even though a foundation is not specifically, supported or accredited by the UN or the UNGA or any UN office, they're still supporting something because they're still doing something to support sustainable cities and communities. Solar panels. That's something that supports the SDGs, and you don't see a ton of people talking about that. You want responsible consumption. If you recycle today, you are helping the SDGs. You're helping our environment and you're helping our community. Partnerships for the goals. All of these foundations that I'm going to start talking about, They partner with the goals without even knowing, but they're doing something to help this. You want peace and justice? All those kids that were marching for Parkland, that's what they're doing because they know that they want to change the law for peace and justice. No hunger, no poverty, good health. Don't we have a food bank here at FIU? That's supporting number 2, no hunger. So these are goals that anyone can adopt, anyone can advocate for if you find a passion for it. So one thing that I've learned at all the summits I've been to, whether it be local, national, or international, has been you have to think globally but act locally. Do you guys understand what that means? Yes? No? Yes? So to basically enact upon a big picture, you have to have that big picture first. Let's say I want a 20-foot cake. I want a 20-foot cake. I want it to be 20 feet. I want it to have icing. I want it to have sprinkles. But how am I going to get that 20-foot cake? I could go to a baker, but that baker is probably going to tell me no because who makes a 20-foot cake? So you have to embark on that journey to make that cake yourself, and you have to start from bottom. You're not going to start at the little top. The top's not going to have anything to stand on. So you start at the ground and you rise up. So when you have a big picture, let's say I want to end hunger around the world. I'm not automatically just going to be like, here, throw food in the air and pretend it goes in the globe. Not everyone's going to get it. So what you have to do is go to a shelter, go to a food bank, provide food. You can even make food yourselves. Let's say, I don't know, you have a tomato and it's going rotten, but you don't want it to go rotten, but you're not going to eat it. Make a sandwich. Take it to a person on the street. Take it to a person that you know doesn't have food, that you know that doesn't have groceries. You guys can help every single person in one way or another, and you don't realize the impact it has. But you have to do it locally and see that action first to go further and further. The Little Lighthouse Foundation is a program, or a nonprofit, that has 24 programs here in South Florida helping at-risk youth. They didn't start with 24 programs, and they didn't start saying out South Florida. First, it was Miami-Dade, and they rose in partnerships. So now it's Lotus House, now it's Miami Children's Initiative. Now it's so many partnerships and so many sponsors that help us out to help at-risk youth. And now we can even have a program in Gainesville. Do you know, Gainesville's pretty far from here. That's a huge accomplishment for us. We even have one in, I think, St. Augustine. We didn't have that before. Everything would be downtown. Everything would be helping only kids, and it'd be helping at-risk youth. But now we're reaching out, and we're getting bigger. And maybe one day, Little Lighthouse can go international. But they're not going to do that until they start locally. But they have a bigger picture in mind, which is why they were thinking globally and acting locally. So you guys can do the same. International Business Honor Society. They had a vision to go to India to help a little community. Obviously, they wanted to do something bigger, and they wanted it to be a sewing project. What did we have to do? We had to sew ourselves first to then go to India to help them sew. And it's been doing great. You have a member of IBHS right there. I was part of it too. Like, that's big pictures that had to start locally. And maybe one day IBHS can make a company out of it. Or maybe they can reach into other countries. But they had to start out first with the bigger picture. Ooh, I put there that you're the present and the future, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. When I go to these conferences, especially when I first started out advocating at 16. I had my first opportunity volunteering for the European Union Open House. And I remember being the only high school student, the only non-professional student, the only student in general just there. Everyone there was in their career, everyone there was, experienced. And I was just like a little girl, just, sitting there, don't know what I'm doing. And I just remember kind of getting backlashed comments, because what you hear a lot is, oh my God, you're doing so well for Latina. Oh, you're doing so well for your age. Wow, you should be impressed. Your parents should be proud for what you're doing because of this, because of that. because we are so susceptible to titles that we feel that we can't do more than what we believe in because we're in these little boxes. Everyone always says, oh, but you're the future. You're not the future. You are present. You guys have the chance to change things now if you raise your voice and advocate. Because at the end of the day, even though we are going to be the future, we're working here and now, and we're the present. So why do you think that the UN wants to get the youth involved? Because they know that we can create change, and we can create it now. All our legislators, come on, let's be real. We don't always agree with them, and they don't always understand us because they keep thinking that we're the future. But that's why we raise our voice. That's why we go lobby on Capitol Hill. That's why we tweet them. That's why we try to, get into town hall meetings, because we want to change it now. You guys have the ability to change things now, and you guys don't understand the capability that you're doing. You guys can make a difference, but you guys can do it now. Don't believe what people say when they're, oh, but you're too young. Oh, but you're a girl. Oh, but you're just a young man. Oh, but you have no experience. None of that matters if you really put your mind to it and if you really believe that you can create a change. Because at the end of the day, you can do anything. You really can. And I know that's cliche because you hear it all the time. But trust me, you guys can do it. So now I talked about what I'm involved in and everything, but I'm going to talk about the organizations I work with. So that way you guys can get involved. That way I'm doing my part in advocating. And maybe you guys are going to join my journey and help me do all these things too. So the Little Lighthouse Foundation, as I said, is a nonprofit. It has 24 programs, and we help at-risk youth. The programs vary from working out at the beach to making a meal at the Ronald McDonald House to just having a good time and playing with bubbles with kids from Lotus House. We have programs all throughout the week. I think this month we have about 25 programs available, and you guys are able to join all of it. And they make it super easy. If you go to the app, Little Lighthouse, you literally create an account just like you do for the FIU gym, and you just sign up. Once you have your account, you just put, okay, going, done. You show up, and it's super easy. Little Lighthouse makes it super easy to volunteer and get involved. And honestly, these kids are so loving. They just want attention, and they just want someone to hear them out because they do have it sometimes rough, or maybe they just are really loving. You really never know, but it's super fun. And these kids, I'm telling you, they're amazing. They're super, super amazing. You have kids from 2 years old to 15 years old. And I've literally gone to, have you guys heard of Liberty City? So you guys know how it's a little dangerous, it's not the safest place. I remember when I first went there, I had a tour, and in my tour, which was the first 2 minutes, they literally took me to a wall and they were like, okay, and here we have 12 gunshots. They legitimately told me that. But for me, that hurts because there's a ton of children there who can't leave, who can't go home, who have that danger in their head. So what we do is we go to their city and we paint their doors, we paint their memorial garden, we paint everything to make them know that even though they're hurting, there's happiness around them. And the kids are happy to help you. The kids want to put smiley faces everywhere, and they want to draw little hearts everywhere. And they'll bring out their dogs to, help you dig around. And I actually met a person who was from Liberty City who's lived there his entire life. And he was super excited that we constantly kept going back because he said people always help them and then they leave. But we're constantly there, and they know that, and they trust us. And they can trust you guys too if you go constantly. You build a relationship with these people, and you really don't understand the impact it has on them. Well, that person who told me that we impacted his life so much now wants to become a chapter leader. He's looking into ways to volunteer through himself, through his community, because he wants to make that bigger change. So Little Lighthouse is super, super fun. And if you guys, it's mostly for children though. If you want something for adults, you could go to the Ronald McDonald House where you just cook meals for the families, obviously of sick children, which again is a super good impact. Genuine and UNA USA. If you guys are super into politics or the United Nations, mostly United Nations, because that's what we advocate for, Genuine UNA USA gives a ton of opportunities. If you just subscribe to their newsletter, They give you internships, they give you programs, they give you a ton of stuff. And we have 2 summits yearly. This was actually taken at the Global Engagement Summit, which was held at the UN headquarters at the General Assembly. How many people have been to the General Assembly? Not many people, exactly. It's really difficult to get into if you're not going for like a tour or something. And I got to be there the entire day, which is super fun, super exciting. But those are opportunities that you guys can get too. They're opportunities that are put in your hand that you just have to grab. So I put all of their stuff right there. And for anyone who's under 25, they actually offer free membership because you're youth. Because they're trying to reach out to the youth so that way they can obviously start advocating and start doing more to work. So Gen UN, you just subscribe, you get your account. If you're under 25, you're fine. And they start sending you all these emails and you find ways to get involved. And it's really, really cool. And you get to network with a ton of cool people. You'd be surprised at the people you meet. The International Youth Committee is a global network of youth leaders working for the youth program of the United Nations. I was lucky enough to be chosen as an ambassador, but you know, the World Youth Committee or International Youth Committee has a ton of summits too. They have the World Asian Summit, they have the World Youth Conference. They have a ton of these things where you get to learn about different countries and different programs. You get to interact with people from around the world. You get to hear how the changes are so different, how you can really get involved in what people are doing. Like, you'd be surprised, like, I do a lot, but I never do as much as I always hear. Because there's someone who ran 35 miles just to raise money for kids in their area. There's a person who had his entire city burned down and now he's building a library. You know, these people don't have the opportunities we do, and they create them. And it's really inspiring to see and hear what all these people are thinking of doing, what they want to do. And honestly, with the World Youth Conference, which the International Youth Committee sponsored, we were able to create the Mahogany Declaration, which is basically international policy that was presented to the government of Belize. That's a super cool opportunity that a bunch of us as youth leaders got that most people don't get. You don't really hear about a 20-year-old creating policy in Belize for the Belizean government. You don't hear that. But that's an opportunity that we were able to be given and that we took charge of. So you guys have to look for these opportunities. International Youth Committee, those are our Facebook profiles for USA and the actual one. Their headquarters are in India, but I'm the US ambassador, so if you have questions about that, just ask me. Girls for the win. I think another thing that we were always taught is once you start your career or once you become an adult, you're supposed to have your life together. You're supposed to act, you know, like an adult, and that's why we have like adulting and everything. But honestly, even though I do all these things, trust me guys, I'm a mess. Like, I'm a literal mess. And you guys are allowed to be, like, you're allowed to feel sad, you're allowed to be lost, you're allowed to be all these things. It's okay, it's human. But I think one of the biggest things that we have to get at our age is a mentor. Because there are people willing to help you, to guide you, to be a better person, to do better things, to do bigger things that you would never do on your own if someone else did not help you, if someone else did not support you. So girls, sorry, this is only for girls. There's probably a guys one too, but this is specifically for girls. So Girls for the Win is a mentorship program, and I just got accepted into it. So now I have a mentor. She's in Boston. She's super cool. I haven't even met her yet, but she's super cool. And we have a Facebook group of girls around the world, whether they're mentors, whether they're mentees. And it's super cool to just hear this girl from Thailand, or I'm from India, or I'm from, I don't know, Argentina. And I do this, and I believe in this, and one day I'm going to become this. Because we all need to empower ourselves, but we also all need to support each other. So if you find a mentor or a mentor group like this one, it's super amazing, and honestly, it really does inspire you. People inspire you in so many other ways. So that's Nicole. She was the ex-US youth observer to the United Nations. She's Bolivian, just like me. So that's actually how we met. We networked. See, networking helps, guys. Networking helps. And the other girl is Alex. We're all Bolivians, and that's how we started networking. But her career as the UN Youth Observer, allowed her to create this organization. And now she's helping girls around the world and other mentors help other people find their way. Because like I said, it's okay to be lost. It's okay to be a mess. Like, it's totally fine. You guys, we can't build ourselves up if we don't fall down. And that's why they're there. They're there to support you and help you get back up. Shot at Life. Shot at Life is actually a grassroots organization under United Nations Foundation, and it's basically to go against vaccine-preventable diseases. That actually has to go in collaboration with Nothing But Nets, and Nothing But Nets is a grassroots organization going against malaria, which I talked about earlier. I actually just came back from the summit, as I said, and I have pens and cups and like armrest bands that you guys want. So you guys can take those. And if you feel that you're interested in going against malaria or you kind of want to learn more about it, you guys can ask me. And they actually sent me forms so that way you guys can be Nothing But Nets Champions Council member. It's super cool. You just go against malaria. You use your social media. You get to have a district meeting with your congressman. But if you guys are really interested in doing that, I'm giving you the opportunity. So you guys, it's your choice if you want to take it or not, but that's a really good opportunity that you guys should take. They also have a leadership summit, which obviously if you go to the leadership summit, which is going to be next year because that one just ended, you get to lobby on Capitol Hill. You get to meet super cool people. Like Congressman Boozman just showed up to our breakfast one day and was like, hey, he thanked us for our efforts against fighting for malaria, and we gave him an award. Alexandra Daddario, I knew she was ambassador. I never in my entire life did I think that she was just gonna be sitting at a table next to me. And that's the funny thing. You'll see all these famous people and you won't know. I was staring at Alexandra, I'm not gonna lie, I was staring at her and I was like, wow, she's really pretty. She looks familiar. And then they said her name and I was like, oh, that's why. And you'd be surprised at how many of these people that you admire actually admire you back. Because even though I thanked her for her efforts in being there, because her life is probably really busy, even though I thanked her, she was like, no, I admire all of you guys because when I was your age, I never did anything like this. And even though I have my power and my platform to do it, you guys are doing it on your own. So those are people that you would never think that would talk to you in such a form that would be admiring you for something that you're just doing because you care for it. And she has more abilities than we do, but that doesn't mean that that can stop us. So, like I said, forms, please sign it. They're super fun. And now, that's basically the end of my presentation, but I'm giving you guys kind of two options. I have a video from Nothing But Nets, and it's virtual reality, which is super, super cool. So if you guys want to see the virtual reality thing, I actually have Google virtual reality headsets that if you want to kind of take a look and see the video, it's really, really cool. It's about 8 minutes long, and it was actually taken through a project of a community that suffers from malaria. So it's a really good perception into seeing how it actually affects people. And honestly, this is kind of what convinced me to be a Nothing But Nets champion. So I would really recommend watching it. And we have a ton of headsets, so you can all watch it at the same time because I know you guys have class. Or you guys can talk to me because even though maybe none of these are your passions, I can maybe help you find your passion. There's so many things that you can do to help this world, whether it be for plastic water bottles, whether it be, for anything. But I can help you. And if you want to talk to me about what I do and how I got involved, we can do that as well. But thank you guys for coming. And I hope I helped you guys in some form.
By Academic Video Services within the Division of Information Technology at Florida International University.